How's everybody doing this morning? I got some goods. Everyone had a great weekend? Yes, yes. Awesome. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. So welcome to the team meeting today. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We do have a vendor spotlight, so I want to invite Janet up front with Cost You Less Flooring. She brought us some treats, so we also want to thank her for doing that. But Janet, come on up. You need help passing anything out? Yeah, I was trying to get the back part. Okay.
Hi guys, or everybody, I should say. I'm Janet with Cost You Less Flooring. We are in Draper, Utah, 123rd and about 4th West. And we are a full service flooring store. So carpet, vinyl, tile, laminate, LVP, luxury vinyl plank. That's kind of the new thing that everybody's doing, the waterproof. We've been in business for over 30 years. I've been there 20 years. So obviously a good company. Anyway, so that's kind of the gist of us. We have a realtor program that we've been running for about 3 years. And it's pretty much discounts for the realtors, and then which is 20% for your own home, and then 10% off the full invoice for both for your clients. And it's unlimited. You can come as many times as you want. And that's off the full invoice. So all of your flooring, all the material, even the pull-up. And so that's helpful too. So yeah, that's great. And so okay, let me think. I'm losing my train of thought. The microphone. So anyway, it's a free program. You don't have to pay. You don't have to. It's not a membership. You just register. So, given that, the other options that we have a 5,000 square foot showroom, and we have a sales team there, and they can help you with design. We give free measures, and we give lifetime warranty on all the installation. So that's nice if you've got a client that calls and says, hey, my carpet is rolling, we can come restretch that for them. So looking at this card, there's a little QR code. So everybody grab their phone. There's only 3 questions: your brokerage name and address, and your phone number. So register for that. It just registers you with our store. It kind of protects the program, meaning you would just send your clients in and they would say, hey, my realtor, and then your name sent me in. We plug that in our system, and then their discounts come right out. And same with your own home too. So anyway, yeah, everyone register. It's great. And then I have a couple giveaways if anyone's registering now. You just did? Okay, here's one. Anyone else? Yeah, isn't that nifty? Is there another one? Okay. Yeah, I've known Lori forever. So when she worked with a builder, we did all of the builder's flooring. And so we've been around forever, for a long time. Okay, so come visit us, come see us. And it's really pretty neutral as far as if you're even coming from downtown, because it's right off the freeway in Draper. If they're coming from Utah County, we go as far as Park City, and even a little bit over Park City to Willa. I mean, we pretty much will do north, south, east, and west. So we want to take care of you guys, take care of your customers, our clients. It's so great to just have someone in your back pocket. I mean, I'm in flooring only, and I still have people, hey, do you have a painter? Do you have this, different people. So it's just nice to have that. So anyway, thanks, and go eat food. And
awesome. Thank you so much. What a great touch for your SOI too. So, okay. Another awesome touch we're going to talk about for our SOI is South Valley Property. You guys want to come on up? Ryan, Charity?
I probably only get up here every November to ask for you guys' help, but we sure appreciate it. So we are doing our primary children's toy drive again this year for our clients and friends. I've had some agents in the past that are running their own little events for whatever reason. Just be like, well, can we just donate the toys to primaries through you? Being like, sure, like there's no problem with that. So there's little treats. Charities passing out. We'll have some at the door. They have a QR code. The QR code will take you to a shopping list on Amazon or Target that is all small items that a child would receive in a hospital bed. So it is a great way to give. I love it when I say, like, I give small, because I've seen these kids in their hospital beds. I've seen how a kid receiving a Matchbox car might lift their burden for that moment and just take them to a better place. And so no matter how big or how small you can help, please do. I always take my kids and I say, you know, imagine a child your age that was in a hospital bed. What would they like? What would brighten their day for, you know, a moment? It's been impactful. I got involved with this through having a son that was in some critical care up there for a long time with a heart defect. It's kind of our give back as a team that we do every year. 100% of any donations all go straight to the hospital. So myself and my staff, it's just on volunteer basis. Again, we invite you to give small with us. I'm amazed with giving small, how big an impact we can make. Jen Hathaway up at Primary Children's told us, because of their COVID protocols over the last 2 years, a lot of their donors just kind of vanished because there's extra steps in the way. And we alone kept their toy room funded all year. It's empty again. So help us fill it back up. If you're so inclined, we would so appreciate it. And 'tis the season. I know a lot of you guys are doing a lot of events yourself. If there's some way that we can help you piggyback with a good cause, people love to participate in a good cause. If you would like to help us out further with your SOI or whatnot, we appreciate it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and we're not asking for cash donations. The cash donations get a little tricky for us. So what we've done in years past is just any cash donations just go to South Valley Cares, and then they have contributed it forward. So again, the toy smalls, it's nice that even if somebody's out of state, or, you know, kind of everyone's gotten used to doing the Amazon thing. If you buy something from the Amazon list using the QR code, it just ships it right to our office. You can see one of my offices is halfway full of toys already, which is awesome. And we'll just keep doing that. So I took, last year I had a car hauler enclosed trailer full of toys. You know, I'm hoping to make it 2 this year. So, okay. Thank you for anybody who just helped. Thanks. Yeah, they have to be new.
Brand new. Okay. Very cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so running through updates really quick. We do have our principal broker class seller pricing strategies Wednesday from 9 to 10. We also have Meet the Masters, master your marketing to maintain consistent business. This is huge. So, and I'm not saying our broker is not, he's huge too. But Heather Roxburgh, if those of you that don't know her, she will be here. She is taking time out of her extremely busy schedule. She's been in the business a very long time. She's gone through the downturn of a shifting market before, and she still makes, you know, over $1 million a year. So she's definitely somebody we want to listen to. She will be here. She does this all around the world. She's been asked to do this on other places. So it's going to be a great presentation that you guys want to come to for sure. So that is this Thursday from 1 to 2:30 here in the training room. And then we have Kimber implementing your 36 touch smart plan. This will also be, so right after Heather's class. So lots of good stuff on Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30. And then we have our business planning clinic that we do every single year. This is also something you definitely want to participate in. So our operating principal for several of the Keller Williams offices here in Utah, he will be coming here in person to help you leave here with your 2023 business plan. So has anybody done the business planning clinic before? Few in the back. Okay, lots of new opportunities here. It's awesome. You will walk out knowing exactly what you need to do for next year. And then let's not forget our Roaring 20s Christmas party. Everybody has dresses yet, flappers, all the fun things. Okay, I don't, better get on it. This is Tuesday, December 6th from 6 to 9. We will be serving food the entire night. Kind of small plates, food, drinks, dancing, all the fun things. So this is not necessarily a sit down type thing. So you don't have to be there any specific time, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, we're going to be flapping all night. Exactly. Oh, thanks for being here. Just kidding. Okay, so next up, where the slide went. Do I keep going? Yeah. So next up, we do have Travis coming up. He is going to be our main presenter for the day, talking to us about lots of different creative ideas, strategies, things we can do to really help in the buyer's market right now. We have a lot of buyers who are very scared, kind of sitting on the fence, but there's a ton of options. So we asked Travis to come and tell us what he's seeing and help us come up with some great ideas. So Travis, take the floor.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today, and thanks for having me. I know, yeah, we're all in a shifting market, and it's been, everybody's business has been impacted in one way or another. Luckily, I've got some really good news for you guys, I hope. So, yeah, I'm Travis. I work at Intralend, just the Keller Williams finance desk. My office is on the 3rd floor, all the way in the back. If you guys ever have any questions or need anything mortgage related, come holler. I'm your man. We're brokers. So if you guys have any buyers with tricky situations or they need, yeah, anything tricky or just unconventional, so to speak, let us know. Like I said, we're brokers, so we can find portfolio loans. We can shop your client with everybody under the sun and make sure we find them the best rate. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about that kind of stuff, let me know. So to kind of update you real quick on just what's happened with the market before we get started. The Fed met last week and decided that they would raise rates by 75 bips, which is what everyone had kind of expected already. So when the banks know that the feds are going to meet and potentially raise rates, the banks raise their rates in advance. So they like hedged and raised rates a week or two ago in anticipation of the Fed raising rates. So they're always ahead of the game, and they always kind of do worst case scenario. So if they think the feds might raise between 0.75 and 1, they're basically going to raise by 1. If they think it's between 0.5 and 0.75, they'll raise to 0.75. They'll always kind of do worst case scenario. So the market, the rates kind of ticked up a tiny bit, but again, the market had already kind of adjusted for that. In the Fed meeting though, most of the numbers and stuff that have been coming out have been looking like we've had a lot of improvement in the market. So they look at the consumer price index, they look at employment and a bunch of other things and kind of decide, they compare it to last month and to last year. And if the inflation report from the different things they have to go off of looks like it's improving, then the Fed said they'll slow down on raising the rates and level out, and so we can start coming back to a normal market. If it doesn't look like there's enough improvement, then they said they'll be hawkish about it and keep raising it. Most people expected Powell to raise rates like he did, but also kind of say, hey, I think we're getting close. The numbers and the news is looking good, so let's slow down. That is not what he said. He basically said, hey, this isn't improved as we want it to be. So they're going to keep being hawkish and raise rates over the next few months, potentially. At least the next time will probably be a raise. But I think within the next like 3-ish months, they'll see enough improvement in those numbers that they'll stop raising the rates, and then another 6 months to a year, they'll start coming back down to where we have, again, a reasonable normal market where affordability is not going to be so crazy for everybody. But so by a show of hands, how many of you guys have clients that you were potentially working with that stopped searching, or they're going to hold off for right now because of whatever, rates, affordability? Show of hands. Almost everybody, kind of thing. Yeah, the problem is headlines in the news. I hate the media and the headlines. They inform our clients better than we can, because as everybody knows, bad news in the news is what gets ratings, right? Everybody is always concerned about bad news, so that's what they put out there. That's what all the headlines are saying. What they don't tell you about is all the solutions that they've come up with to solve affordability, and there's tons of them, and we'll go over those. So by the end of this, you guys should be able to basically take any one of your clients and know how to get them the best program, how to get them the best rate, and solve the affordability problem. And there's multiple ways you can play this. You can save them a few $100 per month and get their payments more affordable, if that's the big thing. Or if they're trying to qualify for enough and it's just too hard right now with rates and home values here in Utah, then we can bump their purchasing power up by a ton, like $50,000 on a $500,000 house if the rate is just 1% better.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Bullshit. There should be nothing.
Hello? Anyway, that was me. So yeah, there's all sorts of things, loan programs, concessions instead of deductions for your sellers. This is also going to be just as beneficial to your sellers. I'm going to show you how to get them to unload their property way quicker for a higher list price instead of deducting how much they're selling for. They can provide some concessions, and it's a total win-win for the buyer and the seller. But yeah, we'll go over some grants, rates, ARMs, if those are a good idea, down payment assistance, 15, 30, and 40-year mortgages, assumable loans. The biggest part that's going to be one of the most beneficial things are buy down. We'll go over the 2-1 buy down, the 1-1 buy down, 3-1 buy down, and permanent buy downs as well. So how many of you? Yes. Yes. Tons of different ones, really. And we'll get into the different, but so an ARM is basically an adjustable rate mortgage, ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. And usually they'll have something where they lock your rate in for 1 year or however long, 1 year, 2 years, sometimes even 5. And then it can go up or down according to where the market's at by like 1% a year. So you don't have total payment shock, but it all depends on the program, and there's tons of them. Like even each different bank offers different kinds. So there's pretty much every one of them under the sun. And we'll talk more about ARMs, and potentially it can be a really good idea, but also if you have a pretty decent borrower, even the fixed mortgage right now is not a bad idea. The market's so volatile right now that the variable rate mortgages in a normal market, they're usually a lot less than your fixed rate mortgages, at least initially. But right now, all the banks realize how volatile the market is. And so they don't actually want to offer like that way low introductory rate in case the market, who knows, the war with Ukraine and Russia and all that stuff. There's so many things that could affect it. So ARMs, they will price better, and they price better initially, but it depends on your borrower, what they're purchasing, and just kind of how well they qualify. So we'll talk about that. But so yeah, I want to kind of get into the good news. Again, I want to stay away from headlines, and I want to give you guys the power to teach your clients. And so what they learn is actually from a professional in the industry instead of a headline written by somebody who knows nothing about mortgages or real estate, and sell it to everybody. And again, the headlines are kind of our enemy here, because the market's not as bad as the headlines make it out to be, and neither is affordability really. So I brought this up, not necessarily to talk about the recession and mortgage rates. What I wanted to show you is how homes, how homes don't necessarily fall during a recession. So in 2008, which is right here, that was basically the only recession that we've had that housing was directly impacted. And that was obviously because of the mortgage-backed securities. Basically, mortgage loan officers like myself would write mortgages for people who could not afford the mortgages. There was no ability to repay rule. So it didn't matter what you were making. I could sign you up for whatever mortgage. And then when you default, and everybody defaulted, the banks repossessed those homes, dropped those prices and short sold them. And that's why prices went down. But it was really because of the mortgage crisis. Homes and real estate, as I'm sure all of you guys know, are one of the safest and best assets to have, especially here in Utah. We have a huge growing population. And it's always a necessary, it's always a need. So anyway, homes, as you can see, are kind of recession proof, unless of course you're in 2008 and you have the mortgage-backed security crisis. But when everybody's asking you, is housing going to crash, yada, 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 you can tell them, look, the mortgage crisis did affect housing in one recession. Otherwise, housing performs super strong during a recession. You shouldn't have to worry about it crashing. You might see some price reduction a little bit over the next little while the rates are still high, but we shouldn't have a market crash or anything like that. So over the last 44 years, the average rate has been 7.91%. Obviously, people don't really have the choice of when they have to buy and stuff, or can buy. I guess they kind of have a choice, but historically, rates still aren't even really this high right now. So historically, over the last 45 years, technically, we're still under the market average. Okay, yeah. And then we'll go over that in a bit. So this kind of shows since 1983, how many homes have been available on the market. And as you can see, the peak was in 07 at 3.81 million homes. That blue line kind of indicates where it should be. It's not too many homes to where you have a supply versus demand problem. There's way oversupply, so the demand's not there. And too under is there's going to be a lot of pent up demand and not enough supply. As you can see, we don't have, other than last year or in the last few years, we have never had this much demand as far as how many homes are on the market and how many buyers there are. Again, a lot of our buyers are getting priced out and moving back in with mom and renting right now, but I'll show you how to teach them so they can afford to get into a home. And it's going to be much better to purchase right now and not have to pay 20 or 50 grand over asking price out of their pocket, because financing can't do it if it doesn't appraise. Instead, just take a payment that's $100 or $200 more a month for a year or two. I mean, like $2,400 versus $20,000 out of pocket, and you get to negotiate. So anyway, in the refinances, they will come back, and we'll be able to get these people into an even better payment eventually. But okay, yeah, so active home listings in the US, kind of the same thing as the last one, but you can see from January 2017 to where we are now, we still have that same problem. Yes, we've got a lot of people that are afraid that they're priced out and can't afford it, but the reality is most people can afford better than they think. In fact, I'll say this, especially when I first started, it used to really surprise me what people could qualify for. But almost all of my first-time home buyers, when I get them to let me pre-qualify them, they'll qualify for more than they think they will. And it usually looks better than they thought it would. So a big tip to you is really, if you have somebody that's like on the fence and they're, giving you all of the headlines they've been reading, well, what about rates? What about values? Is it going to crash? You guys can, basically, you can set them up and teach them. If you guys can get them to just get pre-qualified, I can show them loan scenarios like, hey, if you spend this much, this is how much your payment is. This is how much you have to have out of pocket. Most people are like, oh, wow, I didn't think I'd qualify for that much. So if you're able, just get them to get pre-qualified and let the numbers do the talking. And I'll even show them what the 2-1 buy downs and stuff like that look like. So again, this is the last one to illustrate the same point, but housing always stays strong through the recession. Other than that 08 housing market or mortgage crisis that directly impacted the housing market, housing always stays strong. And I'm confident it will through whatever we're going through right now. Even if it plateaus a bit for a second, it'll be strong. Utah's a strange place where, for whatever reason, all of the coasts, you can buy in California or Washington or New York or Florida. And then Utah also has those same prices. None of the rest of middle America is $500,000 for a starter home, but we are, along with the coast. So, okay, so I want to show you kind of what affordability and inflation has done to most households. And first, I'll show you that in a sec. But if we look at just the loan stuff, last year in 2021, you could purchase a home, probably maybe a townhome, who knows, but for about $400,000. If your rate was 3.5, your payment's $1,796. And most people had an increase in their household income because of inflation. We all kind of got paid a little bit more. Now, fast forward, homes are that same home is probably worth $472, 2% higher, which makes an $884 difference, almost $900 more a month. So I mean, getting close to $1,000 more a month on your mortgage payment. And again, it doesn't even really offset how much more the household is bringing in. Inflation costs more than what our raises did, right? So, and these are also, like, when you look at the inflation reports, they're not exactly straight up. The way that they do those numbers is a little bit goofy. Inflation is on all of our products is probably higher than like 8 or 9%, especially gas. It's like 100%. It's almost doubled in the past 5 years, right? So anyway, household monthly expenses increase on food, gas, services, so your cell phones and Netflix and whatever else. You're spending at least $1,100 more a month, and those are just on household bills that you have. So between your mortgage and your household bills, you're spending $2,000 more a month because of inflation. So again, this is what we have to solve for our clients. So our Intralend, like I mentioned, we're brokers. So I will do my due diligence and then some to make sure that whatever program your borrower needs, I shop at with everybody and I find out who has the best rate for it. And then we'll lock them in at a better rate. But our rate is consistently, in fact, plenty often, more than half the time, it's even better than 1%. But we're consistently 1% better than the market average. So if you guys, and it doesn't have to be me, I'm not sitting up here just trying to, well, I am trying to have you use me and sell me, but I want you guys to be able to use this with whoever you want. And that's why I say using a broker or our friends over at Cross Country. If you have a lender that you know can shop those rates for you, they're going to be able to get you 1% better. So again, if you spend $500K on a home right now, that adds about $50K to their purchasing power. So they can either qualify for more or they'll have like $350 per month in savings from that better interest rate. Okay. So again, if we know how the market is affecting everything and what solutions we have to make the affordability better, you guys will have more buyers that are better qualified and they'll be able to afford what they're getting into and they'll be able to qualify for the home they want. And this will actually be better for your sellers too, but we'll go over that in a sec as well. So permanent rate buy downs. I think you guys have all heard the buzzword of 2-1 buy down and 1-1 buy down, and we'll go over those. The permanent rate buy downs, these can be a really good idea, but it always depends on your borrower and what their goals are. What I usually do, so when people sign up for a mortgage, it's 30 years, and most of my clients or my consumers, so to speak, they usually think of it over 30 years. Which they shouldn't, because most people will either refinance or sell and move. every like 4 to 5 years on average. So even though the mortgage is for 30 years, it'll probably only, that loan will probably only be in place for like 4 or 5 years before they can refinance into something better or get cash out or whatever, or just sell the home, right? So how I kind of do the math is I'll find out how much a buy down costs to go like maybe a quarter and then a half and then 0.75 all the way up to 1%. If you're doing a permanent buy down at a full percent, that's going to cost a ton, like 15 grand, 20 grand probably. It's not going to be worth it because you'll spend 20 grand and it'll only save you like, you know, 250, 300 per month. It would take definitely more than those 4 or 5 years to recoup your $20,000, right? So I kind of, that's how I do the math is I say, however much you're spending, if you're spending $5,000 on buying your rate down, but that rate saves you enough money that in 3 or 4 years, the 5,000 is paid off, then it's a good idea. If it takes longer than like 5 or 6 years for that to break even, then I usually recommend against it. So the permanent rate buy downs are a little bit expensive right now, but again, if you have a well-qualified buyer, especially if they're going for a primary residence or something, this can be a really good option. So yeah, pros is obviously it's fixed. They'll never have to worry about rate shock or anything bouncing around. It can and will improve their affordability. You can use concessions and stuff toward this. But yeah, they can be expensive and it all depends on that break-even point. So again, this is like most things, I'm sure all of you guys know, but no two buyers are the same and no two situations are the same. That's the same with lending. So let me know if you have a situation or a client or a scenario, and we'll just run it upstairs and see what it looks like. The 2-1 buy down. So this is what I'm a fan of. Hey, Jesse, can I pick on you for a sec? Will you tell me about your guys' 3-1 buy down? 3-2-1?
So it's basically an extension to the 2-1 buy down. It's just an extra year. So it's 3% for the first year, cheaper on the rate, 2% the next year, and then 1% the third year. So it's very similar to that. It's just an extra year added on with an extra percent lower in the rate. But the thing is, you have to have a concession to pay for it, and it is quite pricey, but you know, but there are options out there that we are able to get that 3-2-1 buy down and help people save that money. You know, it's 3% cheaper on the rate. So if the about 4.5 points. Yeah.
Awesome, Jesse. Thanks a ton. So like I said, cross country, and like I said, we're brokers, and cross country is easily my favorite because they've got a bunch of solutions. Their team is so sharp. But yeah, so you basically can get your rate 3% lower for the first year, 2% lower the second, 1% lower the next. We're projecting that in another year, and if it's a little more than that, okay, but I would say in another year, anybody who's buying right now or in the last 6-8 months, we'll refinance them in a year because rates should be back to normal. So that's why the 2-1 buy down and the 3-2-1 buy down, it's only for a year or two, but they should only need a year or two before we're going to refinance and put them in a better rate, right? So, and that 3-2-1 buy down is a really good one. Like you go from 7.654, you're back to rates that were super, super good. Like some of the best rates we've ever had. Yeah, Jesse, let me bring you this because it's being recorded.
And if we do refinance them before the 3 years is up, then that portion that they would get that would save money goes towards a principal reduction. So they don't lose out on that. So
yeah.
She pointed out a good point. We qualify them off of the highest rate. So we're not setting them up for failure when we do that program.
Right. Thank you guys. Yeah. So when on the 2-1 buy downs, just like an ARM, we qualify them on the higher rate. So we know for sure when that time is up, they can still afford that payment and everything. But that 3-2-1 buy down is super killer. And I'm almost positive that it wouldn't take 3 years for them to refinance. So he said it's 4.5 or so points, right? Close, depending on the day. anyway, if they refinance before that time is up and only half that time has gone through, they'll apply that toward the principal of the home, which is huge, actually. That's a super killer program. 2-1 buy down, kind of the same thing. It drops your rate 2% for the first year and then 1% the second year. And the third year, it goes up to whatever that market average is. And I know, yes, it's bought down, but these are fixed rates. So it's, yes, they'll lower it for the first year or the second year, and then third year, it's back to normal, but it'll stay fixed there. So it doesn't necessarily keep going up after that or change with the market or anything. Yeah. Any questions on those buy downs, at least for right now? Who's heard about where the Powerball is at? Is this worth driving to Wyoming right now? It's what, 1.9 billion? I think I read there that's like they pay you like 63 million a year for like 30 years before you're paid off. Anyway, that's one way to solve affordability. You just have to have someone who's really lucky. Okay, so this illustrates this 2-1 buy down super good. So purchase price 500,000. This is the part that it's a win-win if you work with sellers or with buyers. The last thing a seller wants to do is deduct the amount that they list for. Most people, as you know, they kind of have an idea in their head of what they want to get out of their house. Unfortunately, they create that number off of best case scenario market, right? 6-8 months ago when they were going for top dollar and paying over asking. This will give you the ability to get the most possible money out of your seller's property, but still offer a way to be affordable for the buyer. So the seller is going to have an opportunity to sell this house way better when they're looking for somebody to buy it, because instead of reducing the price of the home by 50 grand and saving your borrower like $100 or something, you can do just a concession of 15,000 bucks or something, and it will save hundreds for the buyer, and it will save tens of thousands for your seller, and it will make you look like an expert. And that's what we want. But anyway, so purchase price 500K, the seller concession being 15,000, the price reduction 15,000, right? One or the other. So the sales price is now 485 on this one. On the buy down, it's still the same 500. The down payment 25. This is a little less. The loan amount, kind of same diff. Rate 5.75. And so their total payment, if they just do a price reduction and you try and solve it for your buyers that way, total payment is $2,688. This one on year one, the payment's $2,199. Pretty big freaking difference, 500 bucks. On year two, it's 2,477, and year three, you're back up to the normal interest rate, or 2,771. So again, chances are we're going to refinance right when we get into here, hopefully sooner, but right about when we get into there. So this is a 2-1 buy down calculator, and it's super easy to use, and I want to send it to you guys. So if any of you guys want this, please let me know or email me or get me your contact, and I'll send you this calculator. But more or less, it's super easy. You'll just plug in these items, or really just these three, and then it will generate what the buy down looks like for you. So yeah, if you plug in a home for 550, the interest rates are kind of ouch right now, 7.25. 30-year mortgage, 12 payments a year, monthly payment total $2,899.25. Total payments $360. So with the buy down, this monthly payment goes from $2,900 to $2,346. $552 less per month. That's on a $550,000 house. That, guys, $500+ a month, that will make all the difference, like all the difference. So if you guys have buyers or sellers, if you have a seller, you know how to market to that buyer, to you'll be able to get more out of that house, and that buyer is going to be stoked that you got that kind of a savings for them, and you're an expert and know how to use and navigate the market. We've gone from a market where it's kind of rained gold on all of us for the last 2 years to a skills and talent based market. And in order to participate in that market, you have to set yourself aside or apart as an expert by being an expert and knowing what these options are. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a seller or a buyer. This is easily the best solution to the affordability thing. So ARMs, are they a good option? This one, again, I kind of touched on this already, so I'll be real quick, but ARMs, it totally depends. If you have a well-qualified buyer, it's a primary, and then an ARM can be a good option. And we'll look at even a buy down with it, things like that. However, like I said, the market's so volatile right now that usually in an even killed market, ARMs, they're like 2% or so, or maybe even more, less initially when you jump into it. And then it goes up by like 1% next year and 1% the next, and then kind of becomes average. In a normal market, it's pretty significant. But in a market like this, I'm pricing a fixed around 7 and ARM around like 6.75 to 6.5. So not that much better. Is that about what you guys are seeing? You agree on that? Or yeah. And again, it's just the market's so volatile that the banks don't necessarily trust dropping them that much when anything could happen, kind of thing. But if you have a buyer and you're trying to check it out, come see me, come see Cross Country. We'll show you. We'll just do the numbers and show you. So 10% down or 20% down. This is kind of funny, but obviously everybody knows mortgage insurance drops off at 20% down, correct? Did you know that the rate goes up when you get to 20%? Does anybody have an idea of why the rate goes up when the mortgage insurance falls off? Not you. Mortgage insurance is insurance for the person who lent the money. So if your buyer defaults, the person who lent the money gets paid back, or at least a huge portion paid back because of the mortgage insurance. So if you put 10% down, the mortgage insurance might be $80 a month or something, and the rate's, let's just say 7%. As soon as you get to 20% down, they'll bump the rate up to like 7.25%. And there won't be mortgage insurance, but they'll bump the rate up because it's all about the risk, right? Without the mortgage insurance, those lenders want the mortgage insurance. As funny as it sounds, you'd think, well, if they have 20% down and they default, they'll just take it back and earn that. But it still costs a lot of money. Yes, Lori, can I bring this to you real quick? I'm sorry.
Okay, but you're not saying like an existing mortgage, once you hit, it changes, right? You're just saying if you're trying to compare the two.
Yeah, comparing, not when it hits that. Yeah, they don't bump the rate. That's actually a good question though, Lori. Yeah, they obviously, when you get to a certain point when you're paying your mortgage, the mortgage insurance will just drop off for you. And no, it doesn't bump up in the rate once you've signed and locked it and everything. Yeah, no, that was a great question. Thank you. So yeah, sometimes I've even had a client like put 19% down and have a tiny little mortgage insurance payment, and then be able to drop that mortgage insurance later, and it saved them money instead of doing 20% down and having them bump the rate on them. So anyway, 10% down or 20% down. I know having just enough cash money to get into the market and play is part of affordability that a lot of our, especially first-time home buyers, you see it, it's hard for them to save that much money. There's all sorts of options. We have the Utah Housing Program, USDA, they're nothing down loans. So we have anything from nothing down to 3% to 5% and up. And then anyway, so if you have a borrower and you're trying to figure out how to make best use of their money to get them the best payment, come and see us, Cross Country or myself at Intralend. We'll run it and see, hey, what's the difference between a 10% and a 20, or a 15% down and 20, or 5% down and 20? Maybe they can hold on to 50 grand cash and then keep and then in a year or two refinance and save all that money. So down payment assistant options. Again, these are, like I just mentioned, the nothing down loans and things. The Utah housing. How many, by show of hands, how many people have done a Utah housing loan or dealt with it at all? Some of us, okay. Ever. Right on. Yeah, it's even for me, it's been a while because just how the market is. But basically the Utah housing loan, it's just an FHA loan. Utah housing sets the interest rate, which obviously can be a pro or a con. If you're somebody like Bill Gates that has, A+ credit and income, the rates are set. So it might not be the best for somebody like Bill Gates to get into. But if you have, Joe Schmo who doesn't have the best credit or income and is very lackadaisious kind of guy, it'll probably be better because they set the rate. And so if he has kind of crappy credit where FHA or conventional would give him a really crappy rate, Utah housing sets the rate for everybody. So that's a really good option to keep a decent payment for the borrowers, your first time borrowers that don't have a ton of great credit yet or a ton of cash money saved. It can be a super good option. But again, it's just an FHA loan. And then Utah housing comes in and provides 6% of that purchase price to the down payment and closing costs. And they just pay it over 30 years. It's actually a conventional loan. So they just do like a conventional loan that's, $25,000-$30,000 and they pay it every single month. It's like $200 a month or something. Obviously depends on how much they spend, but yeah, it's just an FHA loan. So, and yeah, there's the Utah housing has like the first home and the home again loan in case they want to do like a 2-unit property and you can get them into a duplex. I've even started people out investing and house hacking with this on a duplex. It worked out really well. They saved all their cash, didn't use like the 25 grand that they could have used. And they went in with 0 down. Yes, they took a payment that was $200 more a month for a year. So $2,400, but it's better than saving 25,000 or spending 25,000. So they spent $2,400 over that year. We refinanced. This was a really good time a few years ago. So when he had worked on the house and when we refinanced it, he actually was 80% loan to value. So we dropped the mortgage insurance and everything. But there's a lot of really clever ways to save your clients money and get them into a home and start them investing or at least gaining an asset. So these are the other two Utah housing loans, and I won't spend too much time on them. They're really not that different, but these ones, they'll only contribute like 4% rather than 6% to the closing costs and down payment. So they'll still usually have to come in with like $5,000-$7,000 on this one, but that's a lot less of a feat than 15 to 20 for most people. So any questions about the Utah housing thing? Yes, Lori. Oh, good. Awesome. Is the buyer buy down available for investors? Cross country, do you guys have anything for investors? The 2 ones. Yeah, same. I only have them for conventional FHA and VA primary purchases. I don't have them for investments. Okay, yeah, and second homes. That's right. Do you guys have them for ARMs? I don't have the temporary ones. I have the permanent ones. But okay, yes. Yes, an owner occupied, exactly. So primary or second home, and then yeah, conventional FHA or VA. Yep. Okay, and then so grants. There's tons of grants out there. The VA still has a grant with some money in it right now, I think. But they offer grants all year long in different seasons to different people. But basically, there's always going to be grants offered at certain times of the year for VA, and then for our law officers, or what do they call them? Our community. Yes, Homes for Heroes, exactly. Our community service people. So our teachers, our law enforcement, our firefighters, things like that. And they'll offer I mean, anywhere from the last one that I did, it was on a VA loan and it wasn't that long ago, but they gave him $5,000 and the VA is already a zero down loan. So it basically, he didn't pay a penny. The closing costs and everything like that were covered. Even like Trillion Mortgage is somebody that we broker with, and they have a fund that if you have a buyer, they'll basically contribute like $8,000 to $9,000 to that, to their closing costs and down payment and whatever else or concessions. So there's tons of grants. Yes. Yes, the age on Trillion Mortgage. It is a great program that they offer, especially like right now. It's just another one of those solutions to help your clients buy or help your clients sell. But yes, there's a big contribution out of your guys' commission in order to fund that. Did you have something else, Tammy? Like Trillion steals from us? Just kidding. We love Trillion. They're just trying to help. Just kidding. No, so all right. Yeah, and then grants can be used for basically whatever, down payment, closing costs, mortgage rate buy downs, etc. Assumable loans. So conventional loans aren't assumable. The FHA and the VA loans are assumable. Do you guys know how that works? Assumable loans. Has anybody here, show of hands? Huh? Yes, exactly. So on an assumable loan, there's two things. So one, when you assume a loan, there's a certain balance on that house. If that balance is 300,000, but the property is selling for 400, yes, you can assume the loan and take that great interest rate, but your buyer has to come up with the difference between the balance and the sales price. So if they're selling for 400K and the balance is 300K, they'll have to come in with that 100K. I'll tell you this, more often than not, there won't be that much equity in a house if they're selling it on an assumable loan like that. I would assume that there's a lot less. Otherwise, there's a lot of other things you could do with that home and that asset to make good on it other than sell it. But yeah, check and see. The only thing I want to mention with the VA assumability is whoever bought the home, not the one that's going to assume it, but whoever purchased it initially with their VA loan uses what they call their entitlement to do that. And that entitlement stays with this loan in this home. So if somebody assumes a VA loan and that person assuming it defaults, that goes back onto the original VA person that purchased it. So be really careful with that stuff. And again, come and ask Cross Country and myself and see, hey, what do you think about this? And we'll just tell you the truth about the risks. And if it's worth it, great. And if it's not, that's okay too. Okay, qualified assumption. Yeah, so you still have to qualify for the mortgage, but they're inheriting those great interest rates that we had those last couple of years. And I'll say this, I don't know, it's possible that it will happen again, but those were record low rates. I know a lot of people are thinking and waiting, at least clients or consumers are waiting for rates to come back down to like 3s. It probably won't get that low again on all properties, but anywhere between like 4 is a super good rate. 5 is way closer to standard. So if they can assume a loan that was done in like 8 months ago from those 2 years to 8 months ago, you probably don't have an option to get a better rate. Even if they're not well qualified, just because of where the market was, those are going to be the best rates around. So if it's an option, explore it and let us know and we'll check for you. Yes. Would you mind?
I just want to make sure I understand the second or third arrow. The buyer has to pay the difference. So let's say a house has an FHA loan and they owe 300,000 on that loan and they're going to list the house because it's worth 450. Does the new buyer need to put down 150,000? Okay.
Yeah, great question. That's exactly right. They're just assuming that exact balance as is. So whatever that purchase price is, they come in with that exact amount. Yep. And they have to qualify for the loan and everything all the same. So yes, Terry.
just thank you for bringing this up because I know, I mean, not a lot of people understand this, but also we understand very little about it. And I personally have had 2 sellers come up this weekend and say, I'm pretty sure somebody can assume my loan. And in both scenarios, they could not because they were conventional. But I just think it's important that we understand this with our sellers right now because they're just like, let's just do this. It's so easy. Let's just do it.
Terry, thank you so much. Yeah, my pleasure. That's exactly it. Our consumers are getting educated by the headlines, not by the experts. So when you're able to articulate how it works and what and why, they'll know for a fact not to listen to that headline. Did you have something? Can you do this on an investment property? On the assumable, no, you cannot assume an investment property loan. And those are going to be conventional. So yeah, no worries. Sorry, Lori, say that one more time. If it's FHA and you're the investor, can you assume it? No, because you would have to be buying it as a primary. That's one of the FHA's things is you got to occupy within 60 days. Yes. Yep. Yeah. The criteria, great point. The criteria, not just qualifying, but the criteria for it also follows whether you can assume it or not. So, okay. So, does anybody have any, let's see. Yes. They probably. Exactly. That's a federal crime. So that's a good question. And yeah, I would. Yeah, the lender should have protected him from that for sure. But yeah, that's a federal crime. So that's not a fun kind of fraud. What's their name? Just kidding. Well, I'm glad you know now. You're going to be the expert in the field and you'll be the one selling and buying their next house for them. Did you have a question, Jake? Or something? Yeah.
Slightly is that the ones that they can assume, if the banks do call the loan due, there's due on sale insurance you can purchase for homes that do that. So this insurance company will now become the lender at the same exact rate too. So there are options out there.
That's super interesting. Do you know like who you get that insurance through? Maybe huh. I'll have to check that out. Oh, okay. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. So he said basically you can get insurance on your home. So if they call it due on sale, you're protected. I will say you probably likely still have to, it can't be like a fraudulent, you know what I mean? But yeah, exactly. The ones that they're allowed to assume. Yeah, I would assume so. But anyway, there's insurance for that. That's a super good point. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So does anybody have, I'll say this, there was a realtor just a week ago. And again, this is a realtor. This is someone who is an expert. And this kind of goes back to the point that I was making initially. If nothing else, if you can just get your buyers to run a pre-qual, just run it. You know, we don't even have to pull a hard credit report, right? Cross country. We can just get their general basic information. They don't even have to give me documents. I just need a 5 or 10 minute phone call to ask them how much they're making, about what their credit score is or whatever. And then I'll run scenarios and say, hey, look, based on what you told me, this is what you qualify for. This is how much you'd have to have down. If you spend this much, this is payment. More often than not, even right now, your consumers and your clients are going to be surprised and impressed with how much they can actually qualify for. And like I said, it was like my first year doing mortgages. I'd be like, how are they going to give somebody $600,000 making this kind of money? That seems crazy to me. but they absolutely do. If they have solid, consistent income, especially if you have a household with 2 incomes, a 2-income household doesn't have to be that high of income to make a pretty decently high income household. So, and again, if nothing else, if you can just get them to the point where we pre-qual them, let us help convert those buyers for you. Let us help you turn those clients and consumers into buyers. A pre-qualification will absolutely do that if we can give them a loan scenario with it, show them, hey, look, you can go start shopping and making offers on a home of your own for $500,000. That emotion and surprise, they get excited and they're willing to go do it. And again, if you know the solutions and you know the market, they're going to trust you as the expert. So when you say, hey, look, it's better to buy now and not pay 25 grand to 50 grand out of your pocket over asking price, can't be financed. When the rates go low again, all of this pent up demand, which Utah has a ton of it, all this pent up demand from the affordability problem is going to splash back into the market. It's going to be the same situation where you don't get the house you want, you don't get to negotiate on it, and you have to pay a bunch out of pocket over the top. Or you can take a payment, we can do a 2-1 buy down. And even if it is still a little bit higher, with the 3-2-1 buy down, you're getting just as good of rates as you always have. But if not, even if it's still a little bit higher, it still saves them the $25,000 to $50,000 out of pocket. If it's just $100 more a month for a year, that's $1,200, or 2 years, that's $2,400. Way better to spend $2,400 over 2 years than it is to spend 25 to 50 grand over asking and not really have it be part of your equity or part of anything that's beneficial for you, just being able to get into the house. So again, this is easily a better time to purchase. The sellers have the negotiating power, or sorry, the buyers have the negotiating power. The sellers can be incentivized to do the 2-1 buy down and provide a concession. It costs them $15,000 instead of 50 grand, and it's hundreds of dollars for your buyers. So again, if you have a seller and you know about the 2-1 buy down, you have a strategy right away that you'll be able to sell their house fast for a higher price and get a well-qualified buyer that can afford it into that home. Win, 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 win. So again, and that was pretty much what I had for this affordability solutions. Does anybody have any like takeaways or ahas or anything like that from this? Oh, that's what I was getting at. So I had a realtor, not last week, but we closed the week prior, and she did a 2-1 buy down. And literally the exact same thing I was talking about. For one, when we pre-qualified her, she didn't think she would qualify for enough to purchase the house she wanted. She thought she'd have to get into a condo. She did not have to. And then 2, with the 2-1 buy down, she literally got like the home of her dreams. It was the home she wanted. And with the 2-1 buy down, it made it affordable. And it was just, again, it was just a win-win. And if that can happen with a realtor, and she's a good realtor, she knows her stuff. She's not, I promise, she's so sharp. She's not a slouch at all. So if even that realtor was surprised with the pre-qual and what the 2-1 buy down can do, I promise so will your clients, so will your consumers. So get them to get pre-qualified. We'll run some buy downs and we'll run some scenarios. When they see it and say, hey, look, we'll be able to refinance and make this look even prettier in a year or two. But for now, you can get into this home without having to break the bank. It doesn't matter if you have a buyer or a seller, you've solved the affordability problem. You're the expert. You'll be able to get that buyer to purchase pretty easily, and you'll be able to get that seller to sell quick and for that high price. So Intralend, again, this is kind of the difference with having a broker versus a lender. We can shop every program under the sun, and we are diligent enough that I will shop it tirelessly, more than necessary. I'm really OCD and I'm a perfectionist, so I cannot stand the thought of like not running the pricing with everyone. Even if I know that person has crappy pricing and it's like never going to work out, I'm like, I still have to see, I have to know. So we will do a really good job, and we'll do our due diligence of making sure that we get you the best rate. Again, if we can get you a better rate by going through a broker across country who has killer pricing, if you can get a 1% better rate, there's $350. And then if you can do a 2-1 buy down on top of that, that's another $500. You're almost at $1,000 right there just by having the avenue. And that again will make all the difference. You're pretty much back to the normal market. Maybe not the COVID market, but the market right prior to that, which was great. It was green. I loved it. So if you guys, Intralend, we have an app. It's called Intralend Agent, and it's super easy to use. If any of you want to download it, type in Intralend Agent in your app store. And if you have a client that you want to get some scenarios for, you want to get them pre-qualified and make it super easy, you'll open the app and click Fast Track, and it's super easy. This is all you do. You won't, if you use it one time, I'm telling you, this will be your preferred method, and you don't need any training to know how to do it. It's as simple as like 3 clicks, but you'll download the app and you'll click open it and click Fast Track. It'll open your contacts. You'll select your client, and they'll get a link from you, not from me. And it's all branded with your stuff that says, hey, fill out this 5-minute application. And even the application, they've redone it to where it's just like yes or no questions. And it's so simplified. So anybody can fill it out, I'm telling you. But they'll fill out the app in less than 5 minutes. It'll pop right over to me, and I'll generate those scenarios. And you guys will know when it's completed too. It'll send you a text and an email. But anyways, fast track them by doing that. And then that's where I can shop them and show you guys, hey, look, these 3 lenders have the best pricing for the product the client wants. If this is their goal, this should be the best product. These 3 lenders have the best pricing. And if you pair a 2-1 buy down with that, that's what this looks like. So I meant to add it this morning and I didn't, but I did a bunch of scenarios for a client last night where I just drafted up what the normal pricing would be and the normal mortgage payment would be, and then right under it, what it would be with the 2-1 buy down. And it was again, like $500-600 different a month. Yes. Yes, it's green. Yes, thank you. I should have. It kind of looks like this. Oh, this is a beautiful, bright one that all of you can see really good, huh? Pretend it's green. And it just says agent. That's what it looks like. So again, if you guys, excuse me, if you guys download this and again, fast track the client, I will bid it out. I'll find the best pricing for them. I'll find the best program. I'll find the best pricing. And then I'll generate the 2-1 buy downs and show you what that looks like. Sometimes there's clients that have more than one option. Like sometimes a conventional with doing this much down looks really good. But if you want to save that much money, we can, you know, you can either put more down and have a better payment or keep some money and have a bit higher payment. Whatever the goal is for your client and stuff, we'll work that out. But I'll find each program that makes the most sense and we'll generate the numbers so you guys can look at it. If you guys ever want to kind of fast track and see numbers on something without getting it through your client first, then just come see me and we'll generate it right in my office. It takes 5 minutes. Yes. Absolutely. I absolutely will. Terry, can we get a list and I'll make sure I send it to everybody? Thank you. Terry's my go-to when I don't know. What's that? Oh, it sold? Oh my gosh, 2.4 billion. Who won? Jeez. That's crazy. So was that today? Okay. I looked it up on my phone to make sure nobody had won it, and I didn't see that news, obviously. So okay. Yeah, also with that same fast track thing, just so you know, I'm not like a bank where I'm 9 to 5 Monday through Friday federal hours. I realize your guys' real estate happens on nights and weekends most of the time. So if you guys need me, I'm available on nights and weekends. If you need a pre-qual or a pre-approval letter so you can submit an offer by midnight on a house you guys just found, I'm your man and I'll help you do that. But what's awesome is this app. If you do fast track a client and they fill out the application, it can actually generate the pre-qual letter for you. So yeah, they'll fill out the application, and if they're qualified for whatever program, it generates that pre-qual letter for you. So on Saturday night at 11 p.m. when you can't get a hold of your lender, you can just generate your own pre-qual letter through this app. So puts all that power back in your hands. So if you want to download it, you can scan this cute little QR code, or just, again, type in Intralend agent. And then, you guys, thank you so much for listening to my long spiel. I will make sure that I send you guys the slides. The other thing that I'll send you to is that payment calculator and that buy down calculator. It's super easy to use. You fill out 3 things. Yeah, I can. Yeah, and I'll send, the PowerPoint, and then separately that calculator, so you guys can use both of them. But does anybody have any questions? Yes. Oh, okay, thank you. So when you fast track, it basically will ask you what market center you're at. And so South Valley will go to me. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. When you fill out your information, that's how it knows where you're at and connects that to me. And it sends me an email and a text. The last thing is, if you guys, I know this isn't going to be the case like all the time, or maybe not even most of the time, but if you guys fast track a client, just in case you're there on the spot talking to that client and saying, hey, I'm going to fast track this over, my lender will reach out to you in just a minute. If I'm at my desk, I will reach out within 2 minutes of getting that fast track. The only time I don't is when I'm doing stuff like this, when I'm in a closing or I'm doing a presentation or whatever. But if I'm at my desk, I will drop everything and call that client right away. Just in case you're having that conversation with your client, we want to make sure that we know we have a good team camaraderie and we're sharp and on the ball and super quick about it. So I'll call them right away. If that fast track comes through, it will absolutely, definitely be done the same day, but if not, within like an hour. So, again, you guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions about solutions, these are going to be very dependent on your clients and what situation they're in specifically. So check with Cross Country or check with me. It takes less than 5 minutes to run a quick scenario. Just come see me. We'll run it. We'll see how to make sure that they can qualify for enough. They have a good payment. Your sellers can do the right amount of concessions. Yeah, everything like that. Okay. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it.